Hey everyone, welcome to our Nightingale Survival Guide. We're talking about food in today's episode, all about food really, and how not kind of taking advantage of the food system in Nightingale. It might be kind of like hindering your gameplay, so let's talk about it. So food, there's kind of like two main uses for food. Obviously the first is to keep yourself fed. It is a survival game, you do need to eat food to live, and if you don't do that, your health starts to go down and it's all very sad. Put my HUD on here. The food bar is that green bar at the bottom there. And once it gets about like, oh golly, I don't know, maybe 10% left, we'll say, your health will start to go down and terrible things will happen. You'll die. So obviously eating food, very important for that, to prevent that basically. The other half of this is that it actually also applies a buff to your character. And that's kind of like why you don't really want to sleep on cooking and making, advanced meals and whatnot, because it makes your character stronger, faster, better. Let's get into that song, right? And how this works is basically, if I have I'll eat a meal real fast. Delicious. So you can see right here we have this counter now, which means that this little food buff is active. And if we look at the attributes here, what happens is that our health here is increased by 36.3. Our stamina is increased, and our health regeneration and stamina regeneration are also increased by a little bit. So it also obviously also goes into how long this lasts, and this is just basic roasted meat, so it's like really basic food that I'm eating, but it's already giving me more health, more stamina, which is very important for obviously surviving in this the various realms out there, and there are certain realms too where temperature is a big issue, so there might be like a food buff that might make you a little bit cooler, for example, or drink or something that makes it a little bit cooler to survive in that sort of environment. So food buffs, very helpful, and figuring out like which buff you need for a certain situation can give you an edge for that situation. Like if you're going to go to a battle or something, a dungeon, for example, you might want to eat a little something that's going to increase your health and increase your stamina before you take the plunge. So that's kind of like the two different mechanics that food uses. So what are the different types of food? We're looking at there's basic food, and there's kind of like mid-tier, then advanced. The very basic is berries and mushrooms. They grow out there in the biomes. Obviously, I'm in the forest biome, so I've got a lot of berries and mushrooms out there, and those I consider more like snacks. Like they could be ingredients for other dishes, but on their own, they're really just snacks, and so they're kind of good for like in a pinch if your character's really hungry. And you don't really have anything else on you, you might have like raw meat, but you don't want to eat raw meat. You can eat some berries and mushrooms. Like I have some mushrooms right here on me. If I pull that out, there's like this little bag. I can eat some, and it'll just give me like a little bit of a hunger. But you can see it also gives you a buff as well. Granted, it's not as long as the other one, but this is still giving me like another 25 health, and that's basically it. So again, it's more like a snack, but that's giving me a little bit more health, so that's amazing. So that's kind of like your very basic foods. And then you have like the mid-tier, which is like your meat meals. Obviously you have predator and prey meat that you can hunt down and harvest the body, and then you get meat that way, and then you can cook it. You don't want to eat raw meat, but you can cook it and make these little meals here that I have. That's my umbrella. Like right here, this is like a little meat meal that I have, and you eat it just like the mushrooms, and it does a little bit better than your berries. It's a meal basically. Fill up your hunger meter faster, gives you a longer buff, all that. And then there are advanced meals, which basically it requires like different ingredients. It might be meat with like berries and maybe some sort of spices or something that then makes like a better meal that will fill you up more, and again give you like a longer buff, a better buff, all that. So it's kind of like the different types of food that you can get in the world. Now you might be wondering how you're going to cook all these meals, and that's obviously with the campfire. And here's our campfire right here. Obviously first you have to add some sort of fuel, which wood, obviously wood blocks, sticks, even I think you even use plant fiber in there. And then here's the crafting cooking menu. You can make like your mixed plants here, where you have like different vegetables that you can put in here. Obviously, it's just 2 mushrooms, and it shows you what you can make here for that. And then you have like your roasted meat, obviously. So there's all that you can do, which we have here. We have predator meat there. And then you know what? Wow, since we have it, why don't we just make some? Why not? But besides cooking actual food, you can also make healing items like the healing salve, which requires bones and fiber. And bones you'll get also when you harvest from the various animals that are out there. So that's kind of how you make those. So, you know, if you need some healing and you don't have any healing potions, that's how you're going to heal yourself. Now, the interesting thing about the cooking menu here, or the cooker as well, is that the campfire can actually be augmented. And that's kind of the case for like some of these workbenches. Like that's my little production area over there. They can be augmented in certain ways. And if we bring up our campfire right here, we can see that, you know, here's the augmentation slots, and then here's the different augmentations. So like you have like a boil, a butcher, a cooking, fermentation, fishing, hunting, magic, and then well lit. So some of these are things that, you know, you can build. Like if I, you know, like build eventually when I build like some lighting in here, that will make that a little bit better. But also if we have like different kind of like stations, like a grilling station, we'll just say as an example, and then we can kind of like put that by this campfire. It's then augmenting the campfire, and that basically unlocks new cooking recipes, which, you know, is very grateful. You know, it's really great for that, because, you know, then you have better cooking recipes they can make, again, better buffs, all of that. So that's kind of how cooking works. You literally just put it in here, and then, you know, you go out and find augmentations that you can get. I'm assuming you can probably get those from essence traders as you kind of like proceed through the realms, and you find better essence traders who sell like, you know, more like uncommon or rare cards or recipes or blueprints, whatever, and then you can make that, and then boom, you are able to make more advanced cooking meals. And that's really kind of like how food works. It's something that, like I said, you definitely want to kind of do a little bit more strategic thinking before you plunge into like a certain experience. Like if you're going for a dungeon, like I said, you know, maybe take a moment to just think about, okay, what kind of foods can I eat or bring with me right beforehand that's going to make that experience a little bit, you know, easier for me, and then I can, you know, not have to worry about dying for one, or you know, having a rough time, really. But that's like, I think that's it for food. So if you guys have any other kind of like food tips, do let us know in the comments. But otherwise, thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Until then, keep surviving and keep thriving.